wrapping up on tranny tunnel. We're fiddling around with like a throttle pedal. He's having some problems. It's just really, really close. So we're going to do throttle pedal. I'm going to get the nitrous all plumbed and put on. I got some friends coming over with his 68 Camaro that he just picked up. All right, we're going to get rolling here on the nitrous setup for the red car, obviously, taking it off the black car. So getting the fuel cell out, I got to take all these lines out. He's going to use one of the regulators. The other one I'm just going to put on the shelf for, rainy day if we need it for anything else, like you guys always do. I'm sure you got a shelf there that's, just parts that are left over, push rods and rockers and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm going to start yanking this out, and then we can start laying out the idea of how we're gonna put it in that car. So, what do you say?
All right, getting ready to take everything out here, and everything's connected with a nylon nut. So I am just trying to go up the front, guessing where it's at. I go to lay down on the ground here, and one of the casters that the wheels are on cracked my noggin on that thing. That hurt, but still got it out.
I know to you guys, this just looks like a whole bunch of braided AN lines and all that stuff. So we're going to start taking things apart. First thing is, I'm not sure if I still have gas in here, so I'm going to be taking off up here at the filter, figuring that way, if I take it off at the bottom, it's just going to leak out. And again, I'm pretty sure I got it drained, but I just don't feel like spilling gas everywhere. So first things first, how are we doing here? Aha, okay. So we're good there. So now I can pull the cell out. And with this, man, I really had to fight on the packaging. So for you guys with second-gen Camaros, this is a fuel cell I think I got it from, was it Aerostar or Jags? Or, you can pretty much get this anywhere that you want. It's a standard 1-gallon cell. I could give you dimensions if you guys really need it, but it's a standard 1-gallon cell. I just mounted it basically where the old battery was. And then I had a Holley regulator, a nice billet regulator that I used to run off my Holley 150 pump. Trying to get it out of here. Maybe. There we go. Nope, it's still got fuel in it, I can tell. Let's make sure that's tight. So, but like I said, standard setup, man, that is really full. I'm going to have to make sure I drain that. I thought I did. All right. Ooh, yeah, she's tippity-top full. So that's filled with C16, which we will drain. And then from there, again, if you guys are doing a second-gen Camaro and you're kind of curious at how I did this, let me grab the camera, and I'll give you kind of a downward shot of what I did and how I kind of set this up. Maybe that'll help you guys out. You can see down there is how I had the pump set up. And then, let's get down a little bit there. So I just mounted it off of there, off the edge of the frame. I'm sorry, off the edge of the radiator support. So just use like a piece of angle. Set it up to where I actually had a lip to go off of that I could mount that, and just mounted it low enough that it was below the fuel pump. Came out with a couple of fittings. So you can see the fittings that I had to do. I had a 90 come out, and then that came up, another 90, and then another 90. Now, some people would look at that and go, oh man, you're running all those 90s. It's restrictive. Well, I can assure you that has been proven time and time again that there's no restriction at all. You don't believe me? Steve Johnson, Induction Solution, literally ran looked like something out of Tetris, where he just ran 90, 90, 90, 90, 90, 90, and did a fuel flow on it, and it didn't lose anything. It lost nothing. So doing something like that, you're perfectly fine. So ended up doing that, and then just ran this line going up and around, and then I ran it just coming, you know, from basically right here up and around, and then going into the regulator, I'm sorry, the fuel filter, and then from that point, you know, I'm coming out of here, going into the pump, and then I ran a Y fitting, you can see off of there. So I just ran a 90, ran a Y fitting, and then I went to both regulators for first stage and second stage, and then regulators out, and that was good enough for 2 kits. So if you guys are looking at, you know, hey, I'd like to know where I could put it on my second gen Camaro, well, there's one suggestion for you, but this isn't going on a second gen Camaro. We're gonna put it on that red car. So after working on getting all of the nitrous stuff taken out of the black car, well, it was time to come home and get my workout in. Fortunately, my boy William was home and we got to do a bench workout together, and I'll always take that to be able to work out with my boy, and actually had a good routine. So here's some highlights. So this is my buddy Jeff's 68 Camaro. There's Jeff. 3 brothers. There's Jeff, who's the oldest, Greg, who's also with him, who's the youngest, and then Stacy, who's not there, that one of these days we'll get him down. But this is Jeff's 68 Camaro. He's been wanting one for quite a while, and he picked this up about 1.5 years ago. Beautiful car. He just didn't want to do any body work or paint, and he wanted something he could have some fun with. So, oh, here comes Miss Pepper to inspect who's in her yard. And, hey, how you doing, baby? But this has got a 396 out of a truck. Hydraulic roller cam, headers, carb, intake, your basic setup, but it runs good. He just installed a Tremec 5-speed, the whole kit, hydraulic clutch, all the right stuff. It was pricey. But in the back end there, it's a Dana 60, 354 gear, Caltrax. The car used to be mini tubbed, and he moved the leaf springs back to where they should be, and he's just enjoying this car. There's the parts that Greg ended up picking up off the black car to put onto his Malibu, which you guys will see here pretty quick. There's Greggy. So let's do a little more on this Camaro. Off to the races we go. So how was the conversion kit for putting in the 5-speed?
It was great. It went really smooth. You know, you had a bunch of measurements to take on your for your clutch disc and for your bell housing runout. That's like the hardest things to do.
Okay.
Other than that, it was easy.
Now, did the shifter have to get moved around at all?
Nope. It comes right out the top, and it's just about in the stock hole. I ended up replacing the tunnel because it had been cut a couple times for some different shifters.
Oh, yeah.
I put a new tunnel in it. I put the stock hole in it, and then I had to cut just a little bit of the side rubber to come through right over here. But other than that,
That's not bad at all.
oh,
Now, did it come with like cross member and all that shit?
yep.
All right.
I put a hydraulic clutch in it.
Now, what'd you do for a clutch? Is it like a center force? Or a haze, or?
Yeah, it's got clutch. It's got like clutch packs on the one side and then just a whole clutch disc on the other side.
Okay.
So I'm trying to remember what clutch it is.
Did you buy it as a kit from like Camaro Classics or something like that?
Yeah, I bought it right from Tremec.
Oh, okay.
They did the whole thing. You know, it worked out great. I got the cross member, the clutch from them, you know, hydraulic clutch, the transmission, the shifter. The only thing I didn't get was I had to buy the shifter handle.
Did you get the tranny cross member and all that with it too?
Yeah.
Oh, so you bought the whole nice kit.
Yeah, I got the whole nice deal, so I like it.
But even then, there's still something about a big block. Even if it's, it's a truck motor, it's, this and this and this. The torque that you still get from a big block. I mean, at that point where it's nice.
Yeah, I just put a probably double pumper on it. I'm still working on adjustments on it, but it helped a bit.
What'd you put, like 750 on it, 850?
Yeah, 750.
Yeah, I can say you don't need anything crazy. That is the joy of a 5-speed.
Yep.
Especially with a 350 gear in it.
Yeah.
Now, did they give you all the right stuff for the transmission, for your speedometer gear and all that?
Yep.
Perfect.
I told them what size tire I had, what gear ratio I had.
Oh, that's right. You're not going to want to go through all that crap.
They sent me the gear and all that stuff. And they give you the hookup for if you want to do electronic speedometer or mechanical. No, really good.
Well, I know you've been on the hunt for one of these for a long, long time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it took about 2 years to find one. But that's worth it.
So how much have you been driving this thing?
Not as much as I should. Well, like I said, I'm really close to having the transmission broken. Once I get that broken, then I can play with it a bit more.
Yeah, and get a little nutty with it.
Yep.
Tell you what, it is way nicer. Not having a big radiator in the way and being able to just kind of put this thing wherever you want. Oh, does it simplify it so much more. So this is all welded on and done. Obviously, it fit very, very nice with the front end on. So then I ended up just making a nice little gusset going from there to just make all of this. Oop, make sure we're not hot here. Make sure all that's nice and rigid. Did some standoffs for the fuel pump. Make sure that the fuel pump is higher than, right here is where that tube's going through. And you can see the difference in the height that I have right there. So at that point, I'm not too worried about that. We should be all right. And then off of here, I'll probably end up running like a 90 or something in that sense. And I think I'm going to mount the regulator off of here. I think I should have enough room to be able to do it off of here, either inside or outside. Not sure yet. Now I'm just wrapping up, figuring out fuel line, if I'm going to take the filter, and have it here, or if I'm going to run it, down like that. It's close. It's close, but not quite. So I'm going to grab the fuel line, stick that on, and we're going to go from there. Yeah, Jeff's Camaro, when he came over yesterday, that's the first time I actually got to see that car. That's a nice, clean Camaro. And it reminded me of, and I don't know about you guys, you go down the rabbit hole of building cars like this, building cars like the black car and stuff like that. And almost I get into the sense of, this is what I mean by the rabbit hole. I always get into that sense of like, oh man, I could put a 6-point cage in it. I could mini tub it. I could fully tube chassis this thing. I could this, I could this, I could this. When I went for a ride in that thing, and just a very mellow 396, it's nothing crazy. It's probably a 350 horse, maybe 400 horsepower 396. Nothing crazy, but just having the 5-speed in there, no roll cage, nothing like that. It brought me back to, like back in the day of just being able to drive around in a street machine, just a nice, big block with a mild cam, set of 355s in it, or 354 Dana 60, and a manual tranny. It's like, it was nice being in something like that, going, man, you know what? You don't have to do this all the time. You don't have to do this crazy 1,000 horsepower, 1,500 horsepower. Sometimes just having, 400 or 500 horse with a manual transmission and just having an old hot rod to cruise around in, it just kind of brings you back. It's like a time capsule for me. It's kind of like a time capsule. It just kind of brings you back a little bit to, good old days and when things were a little bit simpler. I always find, like what we're doing right now, where it's my mind gets into that state, and everything I look at, it's like, oh, I want to pro street that, or I want to make that, this or this or this. It's nice. It was nice being able to drive around, or ride around in that thing, and kind of just remembering how simple it was, not having to get into a car with a roll cage. I think that was probably the biggest thing. It was nice. It was nice. So with this, I am just kind of seeing where things are fitting. Yes, I can chop the line down and all that, but also I'm seeing with having this line, if I can just kind of reuse what I set up, which pretty much is kind of looking like I could use it this way if I really wanted to. Because there's a lot of room in the front nose of this thing, within this area. And yeah, we might throw the front nose on and just see if this fits. Because if it does, then I don't have to make a new lineup. I don't have to fiddle with any of that stuff. I can just kind of set it up the way that it is and move on to the next. So I think I'm going to do that. There. I think I'm going to do that. Old man's over at the other shop. He had to make some brackets for... He's working on the master cylinder. It's a little close to the header, and he's afraid that it's going to possibly melt the plastic master cylinder caps. I'll show you what he's doing real quick here. So where he's at is this, because the master cylinder, bloop, it's right there, and I mean it's a good fist width away, but he's making this heat shield here for it. And I mean, you can stick your hand in here, you got plenty of room. And then we have, where to go? And then we have this stuff here, which is just, it's kind of like your sound deadener, stuff like this. It's just like a heat sleeve. It's got like a 3M sticky tape on it, I believe. Yeah. And it's just going to be able to soak up the heat to just make sure that, the master cylinder, because these are plastic caps, we just want to make sure that, it doesn't melt. Plus the fact of, if you go through and you heat up your brake fluid, well, then there's a possibility of brake failure, and you don't want to be going 180 mile an hour and have a brake failure. I mean, if you need to watch, I mean, you can see Tom Bailey go at the end of the track. You can see Steve Morris, when he had some brake problems, go at the end of the track. I don't wish that on anybody. So it's just safety precautions. All right, I am going to now grab a regulator off the black car, and we're going to try to figure out where to hook that up, because I'm pretty sure this will work. I'm pretty confident in this right here. I mean, it all feels pretty good. All right, I'm going to give this thing a little paint job first. So going through sanding, got that stuff sanded down. What I want to do is just catch these edges. Anything that you work on, you don't really want to have nasty edges like that. You might catch yourself on it. So it's just a matter of just lightly knocking them down. And yes, I should have done this before I put them on the car. We're moving on to the regulator. Everything is all good right here. We're ready to rock and roll. I ended up making that little chunk out of 1.5 by 1/8 inch steel. And then I made this little guy out of just some polished aluminum that we had. It's going to hold the regulator, so got something pretty to look at. Pretty much looking like I'm going to run it right off the side here. I'm actually going to wrap it inside the tube a little bit and then give myself about a finger width to where I can still get the nuts and bolts on pretty easy. And I'm actually going to have to take this and like tip it. I'm going to have to go like that with it. So running it on the bar, it's going to be sunk back and then about level here. So I'll have that on, and I'll bolt this whole thing together like that. We'll pretty much be right there with the regulator, and then to that bank, we're good to go. So I'm going to do a little bit of sanding on this guy and kind of get that ready. But I mean, this is just your basic, go to your local, if you guys got it. We got an Uncle Harry's that's got all kinds of metal and stuff like that. They're just kind of a steel scrap yard, and they'll have, you know, polished aluminum chunks that you can do, and you can make all kinds of cool fancy little brackets with it. So we always have some of that on hand to be able to make up. Just do your dimensions, hole saws, and yeah, pretty basic, straightforward stuff. Regulator is on. We are good to go right there. I gotta do some trimming on the lines. That's all good to go. Got this main line done. This one, this is all stuff that was off the black car, so obviously it's way too long. So I got to do some trimming on that, and then that line will be done, and then I have to make a line going up from fuel pump to the regulator. We're just going to follow right alongside the strut bar, and the plumbing of this will be done. Then the joy of wiring, yay! So I'm just going to take some measurements wherever my mighty Sharpie is. Thank you. Either way will work. So let's see, just to make sure we're missing everything, we're okay. All right, so if I cut you right about there. So these guys are finishing up on getting the submarine seat belt actually put back into the car, and then we can finally get the seat put in for good. Just got the transmission tunnel put in, and just wrapping things up in the interior. Here's where we ended up on the nitrous system. So fuel cells mounted, fuel pumps mounted, regulator mounted, got all the lines ran. You can see we're actually up on the fogger kit. We got all that stuff done. Everything's out of the way to where if we have to get to doing valve covers and, you know, valve adjustments and all that stuff, we will not have a problem. So super simple, you guys, super simple. And then, like I said, what they're doing in there is getting the seat put in and just getting that lower crotch strap or submarine belt, you know, and we're just trying to get it here a little closer to the getting down the track. So thanks you guys again for showing up and checking out the channel. I do appreciate it big time. And it was nice to have some friends show up, and it was good to see Jeff and Greg and see the 68 Camaro and go for a ride and all that stuff. That was fun. I enjoy seeing those guys. And I wasn't planning on, you know, getting all the nitrous and stuff on the car, but there is kind of a bonus point to where we might be able to maybe do a little shot, but we got to get it down the track first. We got to get this thing down the track, get the old man in the seat, make sure he's comfortable, because it's been a long time, and he's 76, and it's been a while, and I want to make sure he can handle the car. So we're just going to run it on motor first, and then we'll put like 150 to it, you know, real light kit, you know, get the thing to run, I don't know, maybe like a mid-8. But I wasn't planning on the nitrous being on the car. I was planning on just getting them down the track, but it looks like we're not going to be able to get the car scaled in for a couple of weeks. So it just gives me the opportunity to hurry up and try to get all this stuff done. So all the plumbing's done. Next week is wiring. We'll get that hooked up, and then we'll probably try the kit out. Oh, I still got to hook a purge valve. Anyways, and then we'll try to get that stuff done. And maybe next week I can get the wiring done, and we can, you know, test it out, make sure it works. At that point, then it's just scale it, send her on down the track.